If you picture a pope, you likely imagine a figure in white robes projecting peace. But in the early 1500s, you were just as likely to find the Vicar of Christ in steel armor, riding through a besieged city. In Renaissance Italy, spiritual authority offered zero physical protection. Survival required military might. The Italian peninsula was a fractured war zone. It was a violent puzzle of competing territories, dominated by cutthroat despots and mercenary warlords. To avoid being conquered by these regional commanders, the papacy transformed itself from a spiritual guide into a ruthless secular principality. Their initial survival strategy gave land, wealth, and armies to illegitimate children to create loyal buffer states. This was the hallmark of Pope Alexander VI. Alexander and his son, Cesare Borgia, used extreme violence and targeted assassinations to carve out a permanent secular state for their family. However, this nepotism created rogue warlords whose personal ambitions rapidly outgrew the church, eventually threatening the institution from within. By 1503, these internal power struggles had pushed the papacy to the brink of total dissolution. The Borgia disaster proved that while the papacy needed power to survive, prioritizing a family dynasty was a death sentence for the institution. Pope Julius II changed the strategy. He decided to wield absolute secular power solely to protect the church rather than a family line. Julius personally led armies into battle. He acted as a ruthless general to crush local tyrants and reclaim lost territories. He outmaneuvered traditional despots by hoarding massive wealth directly into the church's treasury. But military victory was only the first step. Julius understood that permanent survival in Italy required a display of psychological dominance that no warlord could ever match. These blueprints for the new St. Peter's Basilica reflect a strategy of statecraft. Bramante designed the structure to function as a tool of political propaganda. The colossal scale was intended to visually manifest power in unity, designed to awe rival foreign kings into submission. The logistics were staggering. It required hauling colossal travertine blocks and managing massive labor forces across the city. Funding this required a flawless economy. Construction costs dwarfed traditional income, forcing the papacy to extract unprecedented taxes. The Pope became a CEO emperor, overseeing a multinational financial operation. Wealth was actively drained from Northern Europe to fuel the Roman center. St. Peter's became a physical and administrative fortress, designed to make the papacy politically and financially untouchable. Julius II succeeded in his immediate goal. He left the Papal States completely subdued, deeply wealthy, and vastly enlarged. His institutional strategy saved the papacy from being swallowed up by Italian despots or foreign monarchs. However, the massive financial extraction and worldly militarism required to build this fortress alienated observers outside of Italy. One monk in particular, watching from afar, rebelled against this specific financial strategy. To pay for the colossal construction of St. Peter's, the papacy authorized the aggressive sale of indulgences, spiritual pardons for sins. It was this specific financial link that drove Martin Luther to publish his protests, igniting the German Reformation. The secular strategy that successfully secured the papacy's physical existence in Italy was the exact same mechanism that fractured its spiritual empire across the rest of the world forever.